Now let's continue on our journey through Wraeclast. Now back to the coast. Instead of going to the tidal island, we're gonna go to the mud flats. Sounds great. Surprisingly,
just need a moment to catch my breath.
Seems to do much better against these must be from leveling it up, I guess.
Low on mine.
Okay. Just take your eggs quick. Like 3 silver flasks. Felted pool. Looks charming, doesn't it? To a stinky pit of the undead. Let's move it. For the sake of quest.
Every death I live a little bit more.
Sounds great. All you're killing is enemies that are already dead. Still wish Fire Trap did more damage, but... facing slow enemies like this, I guess it really doesn't matter how much damage you do.
Not all murders are equal.
Superior potions. Guess I might as well put them on. Got no boots. Give myself some more elemental damage.
Just need a moment to catch my breath.
Catching your breath a lot, aren't you? There we go. And we have a ring that gives us more life. It's too bad these traps don't explode on barrels to quickly get rid of those. he is a boss. But it still feels like it's not really. It doesn't do too bad against the normal enemies, it's just the bosses. Level. Okay. Fire trap definitely, the cooldown on it, I think, is one of the things I don't like about trap.
Just need a moment to catch my breath.
You can only throw it 3 at a time. You have to let it recharge. And once I get to the higher levels, definitely will improve, I think. Because there's plenty of skill points I can put into, well, I shouldn't say plenty, quite a few skill points that will improve that recharge rate for the traps here. Almost got them all. In the upper right hand corner it says, oh, that's just the monster level. I thought it said enemies left. On, once we get to maps, quite a ways away actually, it will say how many enemies that are left, and right here it says enemies remaining, but we finished the quest. Matagorp, always good. Let's quickly run out of there. Dun dun dun. That recharge rate just really bad. Beginning of it. I mean, I don't really mind the mana usage. It kind of uses a lot of mana, but that recharge rate is pretty bad. At least you throw traps pretty fast when you just started the game. But recharge rate just isn't doing it. Okay. Gather around, gather around. It's good at killing groups, at least. Alright, now this guy, it says enemies take damage, chaos damage over time, and chaos damage goes through energy, which is very important because you have a lot
Just
of energy
need a moment
shield,
to catch my breath.
but not a lot of life, well then you're probably gonna die pretty quickly from this guy. From guys like this, I should say. That deal chaos damage. Recharge rate again. There we go. Okay. Area of effect as well on the fire trap could be a definite. Okay, now that we have all of the glyphs from the Rhoa eggs, let's flip all here. Put up this merged passage. And let's turn in our reward for the quest.
Now that you've drained that passage, best I warn you about something.
Oh, really now?
I was running down a wounded Rhoa one night's eve when I glimpsed something in that waterlogged cavern. Looked a bit like a sand spitter, only the size of a bloody ox. I reckon it's nesting down in those flooded depths somewhere. If you're going that way, then do us a favor. Spill the old shield crab's guts before it gets hungry and comes looking for us.
Well, you know, I don't know. My schedule's pretty busy as a shadow, you know. I don't know. Bear trap. Now that
A necromancer.
pretty good.
Just the one, was it? Guess the bastard got a bit lonely, decided to make himself some pets. Well, good to see you don't mind getting your hands good and filthy. Here, to mark a dirty job well done.
Now, when you finish quests, sometimes they'll give you these books, and different books. There's two different books. There's one that gives you skill points, and there's also one, like this one, that grants passive respec points. And passive respec points allows you to, if you want to modify your, like if you put a skill point into something and you change your mind, you can change it with your respec points. So.
I've traveled inland on the Emperor's Road via Prisoner's Gate. Had to skirt around Axiom Prison. That's the holdfast of Brutus the Warden. Bloody treacherous trip it was. Worth it? There's forest inland. Game, berries, fruit. More food than we can scrounge here. But most here wouldn't survive the journey. Would be a damn sight easier if we could pass through the prison.
Pass through a prison?
Tell you what.
Sounds great.
You carve us a path up the coast, find us a way past or through Brutus, and you'll have more than a few lives owing to you. Stay sharp out there.
Sounds great.
Still alive, are we?
Sure am.
Farewell.
Now, Bear Trap deals physical damage and locks enemies in place. Now that, I don't know how, it sounds really useful against bosses, but I don't know if I'm gonna keep it, because there's one type of skill that freezes enemies, and it has area of effect. So I'm not quite sure if I'm gonna keep it or not. We'll just have to wait and see. I kind of forgot about Bear Trap, to be completely honest. Oh well. Should be pretty good against Brutus, I would imagine. The Dweller of the Deep. Look at that, the way forward. Just complete everything. Alright, Alright, let's get back to it. Surprisingly enough, the fire on the ground is sometimes enough to kill some of the weaker enemies with the damage over time. There's bear trap working. Explosive.
Just need a moment to catch my breath.
I had to recharge again. I bet one of these times it's gonna well, I can use bear trap now at least. Some damage while I'm waiting for it. Okay, now elemental damage. Chance. Gonna need that. Oh, I thought that was an enemy for a second. Now fire trap does 10 to 18 damage, and 10 damage over time. That's something. It's all 3 fire traps to kill these guys, because it seems these cave crustaceans, they have an outer shell, and then you have to basically kill them twice in order to actually. Now fire trap does 14 to 22. That's a lot better than 10 to 18. Insta killing these guys. Yeah, 20% increased mana regen. Really feel like it's okay, here's the exit to the cliff, or the ledge, whatever. Not gonna head there quite yet. Gotta find myself a big daddy crab, you know. Finish that quest. Gotta do all the quests. I really do need more Quicksilver flasks instead of maybe that mana flask. Quicksilver flask there. I guess while I'm moving around here, how the flasks work is that as you kill enemies, you gain charges, and the charges obviously refill your flasks, and there's many different types of flasks, so definitely worth noting. It's a pretty unique system. I like it personally, but
just need a moment to catch my breath.
It's definitely one of the new health page unlocked ailments. Well, I pretty much know all the ailments. Standard stuff like freeze, ignite, poison, stuff like that. Pretty much all of them do damage over time. actually killed something. Later on, I'm probably going to switch Bear Trap for Freeze Mine. But Bear Trap right now it does decent physical damage, I guess. Even though that I'm not completely elemental damage type character. It seems to have a lower duration against bosses. Ow. Since when did they get a machine gun? Shooting rocks out of its butt, I guess. Still got it though. Some barrels. I really do wish I had some kind of skill to break barrels really easily. On one of my other characters that uses a bow and arrow, I use split arrow or ice arrow, I think it is, to break barrels, but it does have pretty much absolutely no damage because he doesn't have any elemental damage boosts of any sort. Because he uses caustic arrow, which does poison damage or chaos damage over time. So, and chaos is unfortunately, well, I don't know if I should say unfortunately, but chaos damage is not considered an element. So anything that you put into elemental damage will not affect anything. Like there is quite a few things that say add to all elemental resistances, which adds to everything but chaos damage, chaos resistance. So that's definitely worth putting out there. See, we can finally see the sun.
Just need a moment to catch my breath.
Recharge though. Oh, I thought my character had an arrow in his face. Probably. Should probably level up, huh? I think I want these three things, but I'm gonna have to look at my plan again just to make sure. Because I put quite a thought into that. Planning your build is half the fun, right? Okay, now we should get the reward for killing that crab.
You managed to kill a Granddaddy crab.
Yes, I did.
A pity you couldn't lug it up out of the caves for us. Could have made quite the chowder out of it. No matter. We've got one less reason to fear the dark, and I've got one more thing to thank you for.
And we get a book of skill. Gotta have those books of skill.
Farewell.
Managed to kill a Granddaddy void. Yes, I did. Back to the ledge with us. flask. Alrighty then. 7%. Well, it can replace the ones I got. Anyway. And these things, if you were wondering, they tell like backstory of it, but I'm gonna skip them in this LP because that would take a really long time to get through all those. Now it would be really interesting if Bear Trap trapped multiple enemies without nice. But I know that would probably make it overpowered, wouldn't it? Skill damage to attacks. First place. Evasion and energy. Nice. Lowers my evasion, but gives me energy shield. Oh well. I can use chance to ignite support already. Now, when you're looking at skill gems, the important thing for learning which skill points give you the most benefit to your skills. For an example, I'm mainly gonna be gonna focus on ignite damage. It says in the description, it says supported skills deal 10% more damage, and what more damage means is that it scales everything and then does 10% on top of that. Whereas when it says increased fire damage, increased means it like basically adds on to for an example, on my skill tree I have probably like this increased elemental damage, it just adds on to that. So it's basically saying 3% increased elemental damage. So this will be probably like 100% or 50, probably 60% or something. It would just add on to that, whereas 10% more damage would do 10% of that 60% instead of adding 3% to the total. And chance to ignite support, I'm pretty sure that I'm going to be using that later. That's why I put it on the side here. And it does increase the damage quite decently. It does 14 to 22 to 15 to 24, so that's not bad. See, now it's doing much more damage. Now, when you put on support skills, what is very important is that putting supports on increases the mana cost of whatever your skill is. For example, this one has 120% mana multiplier. So by putting that on, I use 20% more mana than I would without the skill. Which, for that damage, I would say it's worth it, considering that I usually run out of my 3 charges before I run out of mana anyway. Bear Trap sure does a number on them, I think. Those stocking skills. Well, back to Rhoas, I guess. Probably.
on.
Okay, now I'm actually out of mana. Okay, Scare Mask adds energy shield. So I guess I could just put it there. And I could sell that for a Charismatic Orb. So the reason why I'm picking these up and not other items is that if you have a link of one of these colors, it gives you a Chromatic Orb when you sell them to vendors. The colors associated with these gems usually means what it requires. For an example, red is strength, green is dexterity, and blue is intelligence. And I'm going to be mostly an intelligence and dexterity character. Because that's what evasion and energy shield usually associates with.